Next week's college football playoff quarterfinals. The Fiesta Bowl kicks things off New Year's Eve. The other three taking place New Year's Day. Boise State and Arizona State receive first-round byes, but both will be double-digit underdogs in their games. Time for Mission Success, brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. We're going cover three once again. This time, Chip Patterson, Tom Fornelli joining me here on HQ. So, guys, Chip, I'm going to give you first word. What's going to be mission success for Georgia going through a quarterback change in the quarters?
You've got to make sure that you don't have the kind of mistakes that almost cost you the SEC championship game, right? You know, Gunner Stockton's got a really bad turnover. You know, he sticks his head in there at the end of the game, which I'm, great for putting your body on the line, but our quarterback depth is a little bit sketchy at this point. And so if you are Georgia, if you are Gunner Stockton, what you want that offense to do is you just want to keep it on the road, because you know that in this matchup against Notre Dame, these two teams are going to mirror each other in a lot of ways. They're going to want to win at the line of scrimmage. They're going to want to rely on a ground game and a strong defensive front. And so when you think about the mission for success for Gunner Stockton, it is going to be to avoid the kind of costly turnover that can so often tilt a low-scoring battle between heavyweights, because that is exactly what I anticipate it will be. So for Gunner Stockton, it is all about making sure that you keep that high floor as opposed to trying to chase that ceiling.
Yeah, I think if you look at the situation, like it's not ideal to be having to turn to your backup quarterback in your very first playoff game in the quarterfinals facing a very good Notre Dame team. But I think the best thing you can do for Gunner Stockton is try to find success in the run game. Take as much off of his plate as you possibly can, because this is a Notre Dame team that offensively is not the most explosive or highest scoring team in the country when it comes to how they perform typically what's left in the playoff field. Yes, they have had a lot of high scoring games, but when you look at the caliber of opponents they've played most times this season, they don't come close to what they're facing in this Georgia defense. So if you're going into this one, if I'm Georgia, I'm trying to keep this thing low scoring and close as it is to give myself a chance to win. So with Gunner Stockton, I'm pretty much looking at him saying, we need you to make some throws. We're going to need you to make some plays, but we don't want you feeling like you have to go out there and be Carson Beck and win this game for us. We have plenty of talent on the offense. We could score points with just you managing the situation and making smart decisions, and don't turn the ball over. I think that is key number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the Georgia offense.
All right, guys, we've hit our 2-minute timeout here. So if we get Oregon, Ohio State 2.0, Tom, how does Will Howard, Dillon Gabriel match up to you? What stands out to most?
Oh, I think this is going to be a lot like the very first meeting, where we saw both of these offenses going back and forth and delivering shots in a high-scoring, really fun affair. And I think that when you look at both these guys, like Will Howard, obviously the Michigan game, just like everybody else on that Ohio State team, there were a lot of questions surrounding that performance. It was a poor performance, but they bounced back at home last week against Tennessee in the first round. That offense, we saw Will Howard make some spectacular throws. And it's like, yes, I know he's throwing to Jeremiah Smith. I know he's got Emeka Egbuka. I know they have Cardell Tate and all these weapons. But some of the throws, particularly the one touchdown to Smith on the left side of the field in the end zone on the fade, was an absolute dime, the kind of thing we just haven't really seen Will Howard do consistently. If he could bring that to this game against Oregon, because we saw the Buckeyes were able to move the ball on this Oregon defense, and we have seen this Oregon defense all season long in games against Ohio State, Penn State, and Boise State struggle to get stops. They are more vulnerable than it looks like. I think both of these quarterbacks can have huge games, and I think, honestly, this is probably a game that finishes in the 40s on both sides.
In that case, give me Dillon Gabriel. I just think this is when the experience shows up. You know, Will Howard has in really big games against good opponents. He gets a little whoopsie-daisy from time to time. You know, he gets a little bit erratic. But Tom is right. The performance against Tennessee should encourage that. But it seems that when the lights get brighter, Dillon Gabriel has gotten better. I thought he was excellent leading all the responses to Penn State scores in the Big Ten championship game. And if this is going to be a game where you are trading paint like you were in the first one, I expect that Dillon Gabriel will be in total command and control. I think this is where his big game experience is huge.
Chip, Tom, certainly appreciate it. Catch the cover 3. That was a look at the quarterfinals. I'll give him some love in the semifinals, which the guys will have a live tailgate at the Cotton. Watch party from the Orange. That's the intel I got from Danny Cannell, also Bud Elliott. Scan the QR code, check out the Cover 3, and find out more info on that watch party and tailgate coming up.